Are we live? I need some feedback. I need just an ounce of feedback. Are we live? From the chat to confirm that you guys can actually see me and hear me. More importantly, that you can hear me. I need some feedback. I mean, just
it's looking
an
like
ounce
I'm
of
live.
feedback. Are we live?
I have a more
From the chat. Okay, we're live.
Hi.
To confirm.
Okay,
that
thank you,
guys
Frank
can
C.
actually see me. I love you, Frank C. And here,
Brown Bunny, why
More
have you
importantly,
not
that
seen
can
it
hear
yet?
me.
Why are you here?
I'm gonna ruin it. Why do you want me to ruin it? I need some
Frank C.
feedback.
I have a more
looking
like I'm live.
Are we live?
Gotten responses to close
I have a
friends
more
crying
the
within a
chat.
month of
Okay,
each other.
we're live.
Hi.
To
Is what
confirm.
my
Okay,
way
thank you,
across
Frank
you guys
C.
can
Actually,
did a
I
lot
love you,
of-
Frank C. And here,
Brown Bunny, why
more
have you
importantly
not
that you
seen
can
it
hear
yet?
me.
Why are you here?
I'm gonna ruin
Assuming that
it.
means philosophy.
Why do you want me to ruin it? I need
Frank
some
C.
feedback.
Wow, I'm really
I have a
sorry
more
to
looking
detach
like I'm
ounces
live.
from
Are we
that.
live?
Gotten responses to close
I have a
friends
more
crying
the
within a
chat.
month of
Okay,
each other.
we're live.
Hi.
To
Is
confirm.
what my
Okay,
way
thank you,
across
Frank
you guys
C.
can
Actually,
did a
I
lot
love you,
of-
Frank C. And here,
Brown
hearing that
Bunny,
phrase
why have you
importantly
not
that
seen
can
it
see
yet? Why are
I'm
you
assuming that's Latin. I'm gonna ruin
Assuming
it.
it means philosophy.
Why do you want me to ruin
it's
it?
like looping.
I need
Frank
some
C.
feedback.
Wow, I'm
I
really
need- I have a
sorry
more
to
looking
detach
like I'm
ounces
live.
from
Are we
that.
live?
Gotten responses to
I
close
have a
friends
more
crying
the
within a
chat.
month of
Okay,
each other.
we're live.
Hi.
To
Is what
confirm.
my-
How about now? Is there still an echo? There's like an end. There's an endless echo. Yeah. I know what the problem is. Okay. The problem was that I had it open and my streaming software, it doesn't fucking matter. You guys don't care. Buddhist Infinity. Exactly, Brown Bunny. Much better. No echo or loop. Okay. Thank you for the feedback, everyone. Frank, Brown Bunny, Massimo Lesti, known collaborator. Okay, cool. Well, let me pull up my notes. What did we think? What did we think of the finale, everyone? There are some folks in the chat who there's some folks in the chat who have not seen the finale and yet are here. So on the one hand, I'm flattered, and on the other hand, I don't want you here because I would like you to watch it so we can talk about it. Yeah, and you know, just as a warning, I suppose, before we dive in, whatever that looks like, I don't have a plan for this. If we haven't gathered that. I have no plan for this. I don't know how it's gonna go. I'm using this is just my shitty iMac webcam, and I set up some lights so that I am visible, but otherwise, here we are. Frank C, loved the episode. Can't wait to see if they do anything more with Belinda's character or if this was her final send off. I would be very shocked if we see or hear about Belinda again. This felt like a very intentional closed loop, closing the loop on the storyline. Something I filmed a reaction to the finale as well, which will be up on my Patreon, patreon.com/thewatercooler. Join for $1 a month. And something I said in my reaction as Belinda's story was winding down was, one, just how full circle it is, and something that I've just been thinking about since last week's episode, when Greg offers her $100K to start the spa, which is just a laughably and insultingly low number. I know he's like a murderer, but you know, still, I thought it was very disrespectful. And down with fun. You're living up to your username. Hurry up. This episode was a mess. Okay, but let me continue my thoughts. Streaming is not for me. I don't have the focus to do this. How do people Adderall? That's how they do it. They use Adderall. I've never taken Adderall, and I don't think it would work on me. But yeah, okay. So with Belinda storyline, like, so we have the Belinda Tanya story. I'm not gonna. If you've seen my White Lotus video, you whatever. So all that, my thoughts are there. And then having season 2, I mean, continue with Tanya and continuing Tanya's story with Greg, and then giving us like just a little tiny little morsel connecting back to season 1, outside of it just like literally being Tanya and her being a returning character, but connecting back to season 1 a little bit with the mention of like, maybe I should have started that spa for poor women with that girl from Maui. Which does, now it's easy in hindsight with season 3 to look back and be like, oh, like Tanya didn't forget about Belinda, and that kind of, that guilt followed her, and she was still thinking about it, and she told Greg about it. So this was something that Tanya did ultimately feel bad about, and did, I mean, haunt is like a very dramatic word. If Greg has 0 haters, it means I am dead. Yeah, no, I mean, I think you're in very good company, Katie. But yeah, so knowing that it continued to sort of haunt Tanya, haunt is a very dramatic word, but knowing that it continued to haunt Tanya, and that she, yeah, just had this guilt and had this question in the back of her mind, like, did I do the right thing? And the unfortunate answer to that is like, there isn't really, like, no, she didn't do the right thing, but what is the right thing? She did the right thing for herself by kind of breaking out of the cycle of like using her money to manipulate people, and then sort of fell into it with Greg a little bit in like a reverse Uno situation, but that I'll talk about that in the next video. Victoria was a high. Okay. The chat, it's like my thoughts. Chat, like, whoa. Okay, so, but at last episode 7, when Greg is like, I'll give you 100,000. Again, laughably small. I'll give you 100,000 to start the spa because Tanya talked about you, and I know that this was your dream. Like, it really, I felt very gratified as like a viewer and as a fan of the show for just following it for at like the 3 years that I've been following it for at this point, and knowing that, I don't know, I guess, no, because that, like, the Belinda Tanya dynamic and plotline in season 1 like really does tear me apart. Like, season 1, I'm not going to get right now into like ranking the seasons or anything. But I will say that season 1 consistently, out of all the seasons, like that final episode makes me cry at multiple parts. The Olivia Paula conversation really, really gets me for some reason. Rachel saying, I'll be happy, and us just kind of intuitively knowing that that's not true and she's lying to herself, really, really gets to me. Quinn sailing off into the sunset really gets me. And the scene between Belinda and Tanya really, really gets me. Because it kind of just feels inevitable. It kind of feels like, yeah, this was too good to be true. And that is what Belinda's thinking and feeling. And I don't know, it really gets me. And season 2 doesn't have those tear jerky moments for me that I can think of. Like, even Tanya dying is just so comical that it's like, whatever. I mean, it's not whatever, but it's like, okay, like, kadunk, so it's yeah. And so for this finale to have Belinda be like faced with this choice of like, do I like take this blood money, and because Belinda knows that Greg did it, but to take this blood money, and is that disrespectful to Tanya to not like catch her murderer? Or would it be more disrespectful to Tanya's memory and what Tanya would have wanted to not take the money and to start the spa? Because it does sound like this sounds like it was a legitimate regret of Tanya's. All that to say, that is literally why I watch the show. It's for moments like that are just like so satisfying as a viewer. And with Belinda taking the money, and Zion, business major, U of H, with Zion negotiating with Greg from 100,000 to 5 million, which is the correct number. If you're going to take blood money, it better be 5 million. Was great. That being said, Mike White does a very interesting, once again, kind of full circle, and going, he's tying a thread back from season 1 that I argue in my video of like wealth strands, like immense amounts of wealth, and I would argue like 5 million we're approaching immense amounts of wealth. Immense amounts of wealth essentially strand you on a remote island and make you apathetic to the world around you, and the world around you being other people, like humanity as a whole. Like you start to care less about others, and you see Belinda do that sort of with Porn Chai. Not that she owes him, not that Belinda doesn't owe Porn Chai anything, but like the positioning at the end where Belinda and Zion are on the boat speeding away, and the VIP concierges, is that the plural of concierge? The VIP concierges are waving, and we see Porn Chai, and it's just a mirror image of Belinda on the cliff waving to the new batch of VIP guests at the end of season 1. And it's like, wow, Belinda actually did have an opportunity to change Porn Chai's life. She didn't even need to go into business with him. She could have given him 50 to 100,000, like, and again, really not that she owes him anything, but, I'm just like free associating right now, but it's fascinating that, that even in 12 hours of, you're suddenly wired $5 million, and it's just like, all right, fuck you world, I got mine, I'm out, and then you just peace out. I don't know, it's a consistent but cynical view of wealth and money from Mike White. Okay, now I'm gonna go back to the chat. So okay, I guess I was answering, are they gonna do anything more with Belinda's character? My answer is no. I think this is the end of Belinda, the end of Tanya, the end of Greg, and I think that's good. I think there are characters from season 2 that we could bring back, who could potentially be interesting, or season 1 or from this season. Like now we have like a real full rotating cast of characters that Mike White can pull from for the next season and beyond. As myself being a Survivor fan and Mike White obviously being a Survivor fan, I do imagine the final season of The White Lotus, whether that's like 5 or 6 or whatever, will just be an all-star season. So it's going to be all returning cast by and large. And I'm excited to see who he pulls. I miss the Mossbachers. Having the Mossbachers and the Ratliffs in one season would be interesting, because they're kind of like dark. They're like Black Mirrors of each other. Yeah, I don't know. Let's see. Okay. Katie, I watched your White Lotus video in preparation for season 3. I can't wait to hear your thoughts on this last season. I hope you're having fun. Okay. Do do do. Victoria made this season for me, not gonna lie. Yeah. Parker Posey's performance as Victoria is definitely filling the Jennifer Coolidge sized hole in the show of having like essentially all the characters in every season. You know, it's a satire, but part of like, well, I'm not gonna explain satire and comedy. All that to say, the performances in the show, both seasons, from essentially all the actors, are pretty grounded and true to life, and feel like real people that you would encounter in real life, except for Tanya. Tanya does not exactly feel like a real person. She feels larger than life. Although obviously she does have her like moments of vulnerability and like actually grounded humanity. But in large part, that larger than lifeness is due to just Jennifer Coolidge's performance. And without her, the show could be missing that, you know, that big comedy, you know. And I think with the way Mike White wrote Victoria and the way he directed Parker Posey and the way she performed, I think it's very clear that they were not trying to like replicate Tanya or anything, but like Parker Posey's performance is the larger than life, trying to fill that hole, because the show is the same. It's like the show is the exact same every season, but everything's different every season. And so Victoria needed to be the exact same as Tanya, but also be an entirely different character. And I think she succeeded at that. You are fine as hell, bro. Thank you. That's so kind. Love me like you love your plants. You don't want to be loved like my plants. They I literally ripped a leaf off today. But thank you. That's very kind. Okay. I love the juxtaposition of Belinda and her male counterpart in that final boat shot that she left behind to enjoy being rich for a second. Yeah. Yeah, they had such a genuine connection that I was rooting for, and it's kind of heartbreaking that wealth corrupted their relationship. Amen to that, Katie. Oh, I need to see Harper from season 2 and Lori from season 3. Thank you. That yes, thank you for that idea. Wow, yeah. I like how not everyone, but I thought I saw like some sort of theory in after like episode 1 that Portia is Lori's daughter because they both kind of have the same haircut. Guys, we're not sending our best to the Reddit forums, to Twitter, to discuss this show. We are not sending our best. I literally don't even know what to say to that. They kind of missed a chance to really draw Eastern philosophy into this episode, considering it's in Thailand in the earlier arcs. Even though I really appreciated the Amorphi, I just heard it, don't know how to pronounce it. Reference, it felt out of place. Amorphity, right? Yeah. Honestly, I don't. My thoughts aren't really coalesced enough at the moment to reasonably comment on that in the season's utilization of Eastern philosophy. I will say I think it did a good job incorporating how these characters would interpret Eastern philosophy or Buddhism, not necessarily as like an accurate reflection of Buddhist teachings or what Buddhism in Thailand is actually really like right now. But I do really believe Piper as a character and her relationship with Buddhism and Eastern philosophy felt very accurate. And I have known several several young women like Piper, who low key almost do like exactly that, and then are then like, oh, actually, I'm not built for this. I just wanted to be different, you know. So that felt accurate, but in terms of like the actual like thematic work that Mike White's doing in terms of tying that into actual Eastern philosophy, my thoughts are not. I have nothing to say to that right now. I will say it was less than I expected. However, any more may have felt heavy-handed, I suppose. And I guess I was surprised that the season the season is more about identity and who we are to ourselves, who we are to others, who we are to the world. That seems to be more like, how do we perceive ourselves? How do we conceptualize who we are, and how we move through the world? That seems to be much more what it was dealing with, like questions of identity, and what that word even means, rather than like Eastern philosophies about death, which is what I was expecting, because that's what Mike White alluded to in the like after the episode of the season 2 finale. He was just like, I think Eastern ideas about death could be interesting, and the season obviously does touch on death, but I feel like it's largely talking about identity, which is interesting. Victoria basically replaced Tanya. I like the season, but not as much as season 2. Everyone's got their favorites, you know. Everyone's got their favorites. The finale is good. I loved this season. I wish Lisa was utilized more. So my theory on Mook, played by Lisa, is that Mook was originally a Fabian Pam like character, because Mook essentially is just there to support Guy Talk. Guy Talk is our resort employee character this season. Guy Talk is our Armand. He is our Valentina. And Mook is there just in service of Guy Talk's story. Mook doesn't have her own plotline going on. So I don't think Mook was originally going to be like, you know, like Lalisa Manibal is like in the opening credits of the show. And I don't think that was the plan always. I think I don't know where I read this, but I read that once they cast Lisa, getting like filming permits and just like dealing with the government in Thailand for filming, et cetera, became a lot easier. Like the authorities became much more amenable to whatever, you know, they needed, because they had cast Lisa and she's very popular in Thailand. So I think it may have also been like a strategic casting choice, where they're like, well, let's like, maybe they were running into issue. I don't know. Like, I think something happened there, because Mook is, not a huge character. She's just there to support Guy Talk. That being said, I thought she was fantastic. Like, I thought she played the character excellently. And I was surprised by that. I'm not like a Blackpink fan. So I don't know anything about her besides that she's in Blackpink, but I thought she was great in this. So I would like to see her in more stuff. That's my thought on Lisa. I want Michael Imperioli back. Don't we all? Only if Laura Dern accompanies him. Although actually we see a photo at the end of season 2 of the DeGrasso family, of Dom with Albie and the daughter and the wife, and it's not Laura Dern, unfortunately. So I don't think we're getting Michael Imperioli back. I think I'd be very surprised if we got any of the if we got the DeGrasso boys back, because they're like, it's hard for me to imagine their storyline, which is like wrapped up very, very neatly actually at the end of season 2. Like what sort of open threads or open thematic questions any of those three guys present that would be worth exploring in another season. So that's my thoughts on that. But yeah, we Michael Imperioli should just be cast in more things. We need him on the TV. Okay. The convo at dinner between the three girlfriends made me cry. Thank God for Friends. Thank you again for the compliment, W. It also made me cry. I have me crying to that on camera. Part of that is the excellent writing, and I mean, part of that's the excellent writing, and part of that is just Carrie Coon is one of the best actors working today. Like Carrie Coon in The Leftovers. I know none of you have seen it. I know one person in the chat has, but I know none of you have seen The Leftovers. And Leftovers, in my opinion, is the second best television series of the century. Carrie Coon, in my opinion, gives the best TV performance of the century, maybe the best performance of the century. Maybe I won't go that far, but definitely, inarguably, in my opinion, a top 3 TV performance of this century. That Variety list of like top 100 TV performances, a lot of things I disagreed with on there, a lot of questionable choices, but at least Carrie Coon in The Leftovers made the top 10 as she should. But yeah, that scene with those three women, and I wrote down what she said because it was just very beautiful. Time gives life meaning. The three of us are together. Even when we're apart, we're together. What if I start crying right now? No, it's this like these women have. I am free associating. I am making things up on the spot. I'm not the most eloquent off the cuff speaker. You are seeing behind the facade of a video essayist. There's a reason I write down my words before I speak them publicly. But is this light too harsh? Should I change the color? Let's see what's going on. What other fun colors could be? Oh. A cooler one, a greener one. It's interesting. Oh. This is just that. Turn it down a bit. That feels good. Okay. Like these three women. It's interesting, and like friendships like that, like really long friendships from childhood, that go into adulthood, that go like this far into adulthood, into like middle age, where it's like, well, now we're married and we have kids and we have these like careers. I don't know. There's part of it where I'm like, you guys are. It's kind of like you see the same person has been split 3 times, or split along 3 different paths. And so, one has gone the movie star route, one has gone the career woman lawyer path, and the other has gone like the family woman, and like community, and voted for Trump. Like we all have our own paths and our own little journeys. But and to remain friends with those people, and then to spend time with them can be just a very it can be a very uncomfortable reflection of, like Lori says, like these friends, Jacqueline and Kate, largely like the role that they play in Lori's life is just like a reminder of the choices she's made and the mistakes she's made. And that can be very painful to have people who you're incredibly close with and who you love and who you've loved for decades, also just be a reminder of like how you feel you've failed and how you feel you feel you failed, and how you and just reminding you of your shortcomings, and that can be a very painful realization. And that, like, they return to these dynamics, like the exact same dynamics that I'm sure they had when they were like 9 years old. And why is my nose so itchy? Like, going back to these dynamics that they had when they were like 9 years old, where Jacqueline, I mean, this feels ridiculous to say because I think all three women are beautiful, but Jacqueline is the beautiful one, and the star, and like the main one out of the three. And then Kate is the like peacekeeper, the loving one, the listener. And Lori is one with like a bit of an edge, maybe like more brains of the group, like Lori's got the brains, Kate's got the heart, and Jacqueline's got the face. I don't know. That seems to be the dynamic that they've fallen into. And when you have especially like a decades long dynamic with people like that, it can be hard to even recognize that you're in it, let alone try to break out of it. And what I loved about these three women's story is just, I guess realizing that like they are in charge. Like, Lori is in charge of herself, and her two friends existing isn't like a reflection or a condemnation on who she is. And I don't know, it was beautiful. It was beautiful, and it was not what I was how I was expecting it to end. But it felt realistic. Like it felt realistic that they wouldn't want to linger on the fight that they had, and that they would want to make it up. And Lori realizing like Lori realizing that like these are the people who matter, and you have to like to to quote Nocturnal Animals, when you love something, you have to take care of it because you might never get it again. And I don't know, I thought that was beautiful, and her realizing that she needs to break out of like seeing herself as a victim, and kind of like, because when you see yourself, like when you perceive yourself as a certain way, it just becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy where you're like, well, because I see myself as the victim all the time in this dynamic, in this friendship, I'm going to put myself in situations where I am the victim, or I'm going to frame a situation in a way where I am a victim. And like, I think Jacqueline sleeping with Valentine was shitty and a bad friend move. She had her reasons, but like, that was a shitty thing to do to Lori. But it also wasn't like, I think Kate was correct in being like, oh, I thought you'd find it funny. Like, I didn't think it was that serious. Cause like, it's not that serious. This is some himbo masseuse in Thailand, Russian himbo masseuse in Thailand, who I'm sure would be happy to sleep with any of you, to be honest. And it just doesn't really matter, but it reopens those old wounds, and it reopens that dynamic. And so Lori's like, oh, Jacqueline has done something to hurt me. She's done it intentionally. So now I have to play my role. And yeah, it's fascinating psychology, and very, very, very real. And there's gendered aspects to this, but it is a fairly universal experience. Okay. Okay. Frank C. I have a lot of thoughts, but YouTube limits the comments lengths. That's probably for the best. I loved Piper self-actualizing. She wasn't cut out for it, but showing the younger brother was more open to it / less corrupted. Yeah, I mean, Lachlan, unsung hero of the season. I don't know. It's funny because we're kind of doing Quinn again. We're kind of doing season 1 Quinn again, but I was gonna say with a little more thought put into it, but that's not what I mean. I don't know exactly what I mean. Because like the end of Quinn's story is Quinn being like, I want to stay here, and I want to row to Fiji. The end of this episode should have been Quinn arriving by boat to Thailand. He's like, we missed Fiji. No, so yeah, so like the end of Quinn's story is him rowing off to Fiji, but Piper's entire story is like, oh, I'm doing my thesis here, haha, JK, I'm gonna live here. That's Piper's whole thing, and Lachlan's whole thing. Well, I'll get to Lachlan in a second, but like Piper's like dissatisfaction with so many aspects of her life back home, leading to her wanting to live a life that's essentially the opposite. And not because she actually wants to be a Buddhist monk in Thailand as much as she may think she wants that or has convinced herself that she wants that. What it actually is she's like, I want to do the opposite of what my life is so that I can appreciate my actual life more. I think that's what the real drive is. It's feeling like not feeling gratitude enough for what she does have and being like insanely wealthy and for the time being and insanely privileged. And just feeling disgusted and feeling like this life is like so shallow. And thinking it's just the grass is always greener. And thinking that this is going to be spiritually fulfilling and like, yes, I can survive on the bland vegetarian food and the stained mattress in the box and there's no air conditioning. And I thought I didn't care about these things, but I do. And it's like, well, yeah, of course you do. You're a wealthy young woman from the South who by, all indication has had everything she's ever wanted given to her. So it makes sense that like, as your form of rebellion, you want to do something where you're not being given everything you want. Like that's the actual goal. But the goal is just like, I need to make a switch in my brain to see how good I actually have it. I need to understand how good I actually have it. So I think that's what was ultimately going on with Piper. Piper felt like a little bit of a continuation of Quinn's Eat, Pray, Love story from season 1. Yes, absolutely. Sarah Campbell says, love the Lotus, the Lotus emojis. Sarah Campbell says, do we think the family is still screwed when they get back? I couldn't tell from their expressions, but maybe that's the point. But I feel like it would have been a big plot twist / reveal. Yeah, part of me when Pam, okay, pause. Pam, the Ratliff's concierge, that is the diva of the season. Pam is the MVP of season 3 of The White Lotus. How wonderful for you. How wonderful for you. That is one of the best line readings I've ever heard in my life. It changed my life. I love her so much. Pam was incredible. Anyways, all that to say, when Pam shows up with the bag of all their electronics and Tim is like, acquiring the suicide seats, when Pam returns with the bag, I was like, oh, fuck, like Tim's gonna kill himself, and then we're gonna find out that it's actually like a misunderstanding, or it's been settled, or like something has happened and he's actually off the hook, but it's too late, etc., etc. That's what I thought was gonna happen. So, but that is not what happened. Do we think the family is still screwed when they get back? So this is an annoying answer, Sarah, and I apologize for giving an annoying answer. It ultimately doesn't matter to what the show is doing thematically and narratively, and like it ends where it does for a reason. And I think there is supposed to be a bit of an open-ended aspect to it. However, we are supposed to, I think we're supposed to leave the Ratliffs knowing that like they are going to lose everything, but they have each other and they will figure it out. I think that's ultimately what we're supposed to leave them with. At the very least, we're supposed to leave it with Tim has relinquished this idea of him having to be like the perfect husband, the perfect father, the perfect community man, like kind of what his entire identity has been wrapped up in. To answer your question directly, do I think they're still screwed? Yes, I think they are still screwed. I think Tim is going to go to prison for 4 months. I think they're not going to lose everything, but they're going to lose a lot, and it's going to really suck for them. And I don't know if Lachlan's going to be able to go to college. If like what's a college fund called? Is that 529? Is that what it's called? Can the government seize a college fund? Probably. Yeah. So I don't know what's going to happen to the Ratliffs, but that's what I feel we're supposed to leave the season with. But I do think they're screwed. I manage VIPs at a resort in Southern California, and I gotta say, the general manager sharing Belinda's info with Greg Gary was wild. Yes, it was. Can't even imagine. Wild. Never would happen. Yeah, that was unrealistic, and I feel like ultimately unnecessary for the plot, but something that I did like about that scene, where Belinda goes to Fabian and is like, yo, I think this guy's crazy and he killed his wife and now he's trying to kill me. There's like a shift in Fabian where there's a, I don't know. It's similar to like the gestures towards the mafia in season 2, where it's like, it's hinted at, especially with Jack and Portia, like it's hinted at that these are like bad, powerful people that you don't want to cross. But it isn't like explicitly illuminated, and that's like not what the story is. I got the same feeling of like, ooh, we are just on the surface right here, but there's a whole deep, dark undercurrent going on in Thailand with this amount of money and this amount of wealth going on here, that Fabian is acutely aware that there are a lot of people who have left their home countries for a variety of reasons, mainly probably nefarious, and it's not his job to ask questions. I thought that was a very interesting scene. However, yeah, it is deeply unlikely that he would give out Belinda's info. And I also don't think, I'm like, well, what info? I don't think that needed to happen, essentially, but I also don't like really, I don't know. I don't really care that much, honestly, about it being unrealistic. So I don't know. I thought Tim was about to jump off the boat at the last second. Well, that wouldn't be a White Lotus ending. Come on, guys. Okay. The season's finale has definitely felt the heaviest to me by far. Like, I just finished it and feel so unsettled. Yeah, Ania? I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Ania. Yeah, I agree. This season was very heavy. This season was much heavier. This season was much darker. Much, maybe not much, but much, I said much again, slower. A slower season, just kind of by virtue of having 8 episodes. Whereas season 1 was 6, season 2 was 7, and now it's 8. I don't think we need any more episodes for a season of White Lotus. I think 8 is a good cap. I think 7 is a good happy middle ground. But yeah, it was dark, and I mean that goes to something I've kept bottled in publicly. I've talked about it on Patreon, patreon.com/thewatercooler. Join for $1 a month. So okay, I deleted Twitter off my phone. I deleted Instagram off my phone, and towards the end of January for non-White Lotus related reasons. Long story short, I was just spending way too much time on those apps, and it wasn't good for my brain. So I deleted them off my phone. I didn't delete my accounts, but I just deleted the apps. I still occasionally go on Instagram, like on my browser, and I rarely go on Twitter, also on my computer browser. But for the most part, I don't really go. And I had to unsubscribe from there are 2 White Lotus subreddits for some reason. If anyone can explain, I don't know why. But there are. I had to unsubscribe from those 2 because they were kind of just pissing me off. And one of the reasons that those subreddits were pissing me off, and I imagine Twitter would piss me off too, is everyone's fucking bitching and moaning about the new opening credits theme, which, first of all, is a gorgeous piece of music that didn't get appreciated enough. What? Because it didn't have like was that it? We missed the lows. I get it. I like the lows, but that's not really what we're doing in Thailand. You know, that's not really what's going on. This opening credits theme was, it was darker and it was heavier than the kind of like jungle vibes of season 1, and then the like hyper pop operatic renaissance of season 2. This was this was darker and heavier and fit the season perfectly. I thought the actual like graphics of the opening credits were also the best of the series so far. I thought the opening credits were gorgeous. And also, like, I love opening credits. I never skip them. Guys, they don't matter. It doesn't matter. Like, we all miss the lows. It doesn't matter. And yes, I've listened to the uncut full like 3-minute version of the opening, and I think it's gorgeous, and it does bring the lows back, but ultimately I think it was like unnecessary, and I can't believe that people like freaked out over it to the extent that they did. If you saw the comments on the YouTube video of the opening credits from the Max YouTube channel in the first week after the premiere, oh my God. You would have thought they killed someone. It was crazy. The reaction was bananas. Okay. Let's go back to the chat. Okay. Literally, I don't know what laws are like in Thailand, but I'm pretty sure that's a felony here because it's basically doxing. I don't know. I'm not a lawyer though. Belinda is technically an employee of the company, and I think a guest does have the right to ask about an employee at the company to an extent. However, I've also worked a lot of retail, and like if someone came in and was like, "Hey, when is Sarah working next?" We don't give out like shift information. But if Sarah was working with me that day on the floor and someone came up and was like, "Oh, who's that coworker?" And I'm like, "Oh, her name's Sarah." Like that wouldn't even cross my mind. So like, I don't know. We don't know to what extent Fabian, like how much he told her. So I don't know. Carrie Coon is my goat. Absolutely. Down with the fun. You've won me back. Carrie Coon is the goat. She's excellent in The Leftovers. She is. I found my people. Oh, the FBI is arresting Tim the second they arrive at the airport in Durham. I don't think there's a direct flight to Durham. I'm going to North Carolina at the end of this month. And I'll be, I'm going to go to Duke. I'm going to get a Duke shirt. And so I'm looking forward to that. But yes, the FBI will be arresting Tim, the second he lands. Katie says, something my mom said about the heavier themes this season was how it feels like confronting the flaws of yourself and everyone around you. But I think that also ties into the themes of religion because it almost feels like confessing your sins. I got distracted because it says 2 out of 3, but the third one isn't here yet. I'm going to reread that. Something my mom said about the heavier themes this season was how it feels like confronting the flaws of yourself and everyone around you. Yeah, I mean, season 1's theme of wealth and kind of how it like degrades your soul, like that's that is heavy, and that is ultimately dark and, like I said earlier, cynical. But the way it's gone about in season 1 is like it's almost like a magic trick where you kind of think you're watching a sort of kooky comedy with like this like very sharp dialogue, and it's making you laugh. But then the music especially, like the music is such a good indicator throughout season 1, because like then you watch season 2 and season 3 and you know what the show is. But season 1, when you don't know exactly what the show is, the music gives a really good indication of like, we're just watching a shitty journalist confront kind of a bitchy CFO at the pool of this 5-star resort, and like they argue about this like nothing article. Like, yeah, that's what's happening, but the music indicates that like something else is going on here, like symbolically and thematically, and but it's still what's literally happening in season 1 by and large up until the final like 2 episodes essentially, is kind of fun and flirty, fun, light, flirty. And then the final 2 episodes, at least for me, kind of hit me like a train where I was like, oh, this is the show. This is what's actually happening. And then season 2, season 2, it's, I don't want to spoil my next video too much, but like the themes revolve around sex and gender relations and relationships, but I mean, largely sex and sort of like how wealth intersects with sex. And that can also be very fun. And I think season 2 has a fun, bouncy, almost like Shakespearean comedy way to it, that does, and it once again does kind of catch you off guard especially with Daphne, when you start to see like the real shades of that character, and kind of what's actually going on with her, and what she actually thinks and who she actually is. And you're like, oh, I've once again been bamboozled, and the show has once again kind of pulled the rug out from under me, and I'm actually watching something very different from what I thought I was. So yeah, it makes sense that this theme also, all that to say, I think the themes, like the jungle theme of season 1, essentially telling us that like we are in the jungle, and like Mark says, like we're just monkeys, and it creates this like primal energy where we're supposed to view these interactions not literally, but as like a food chain fight, and like animals being protective over like a watering hole. Like that's what it's kind of supposed to elicit. And sorry to bring it back once again, but that's also what Survivor does with like the music of Survivor and like the literal setting of Survivor, of like putting these people in a jungle and like stripping away all their like worldly possessions, and then saying like, okay, now like one of you is going to come out of here at the end of 39 days and you're going to win $1 million. Figure out how to do that. And that's, for the record, if anyone's wondering, that is why I chose to frame my video through Survivor and have Survivor open the video, is because like I ultimately think that Mike White took a lot of inspiration from like what Survivor at its best is, and is like, how do I narrativize what I love about Survivor, you know? And the show kind of like they're kind of the same show in a way. I'm not going to get into it any more than that. All that to say, yes, I think it makes sense that this season was dark, that due to the darker themes that the opening would, I mean, also visually it's darker. There's a darker color palette, and also the music is darker. Okay. I'd let Chelsea give me Big Top, Dead or Alive. Was that contributing to the conversation? Was that helpful? Did you get the girl? Did you get the car? Did you get the house? Okay. The opening credits this season were my absolute favorite of the three, TBH. So true, Nat. Okay. I have removed the troll. I'm sorry it took me a while to get to the troll. But I got to the troll. It's been removed, and we're so back. We're so back, guys. I'm sorry. I also want to make sure that they're like blocked. Okay, they are. I almost made them a moderator on accident. Okay. No, same. Everyone just has bad taste because White Lotus has never given us a bad intro, but the reaction was nuts. Yes, the reaction was nuts. And then Marooned Space Princess, yeah, that makes sense. It's like, who makes it out alive? Yeah, yes, exactly. And another thing that has been whispered that that unintentionally has been presented to me, because now, like, among like my social circle, like my friends, I'm like the White Lotus guy, which is a role I take with pride. But that being said, like, so a lot of people text me about the show, like after episodes, are like, what did you think? Like, et cetera, et cetera. And so I hear like theories from them. So I heard the fucking monkey theories after episode 1. I don't know how that caught on so fucking fast. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if we all had a little bit of the suicide seed and it made our brain go cuckoo. What show have you been watching that you think monkeys are going to pull out a gun and start? One, do monkeys even have like the finger capabilities of like doing it more than once? Have you ever shot a gun? Have you ever shot a pistol? Like, it really isn't like the recoil on a gun is very strong and it's very surprising. If a monkey accidentally shot a gun, it would immediately run away. One, because of the noise, but two, like, that thing would be flying. Like, the recoil is so crazy. People don't understand guns. Guns are very powerful and have strong recoil. And no, a monkey was never going to cause a massacre at the White Lotus in Thailand. If that's how the season ended, I would literally like delete my video, delete my channel, throw my TV out the window. Like, that is so garbage. And I really don't like, I mean, God, I saw a tweet like a year ago that was like, I hope the next pandemic is critical thinking. I'm still waiting on that. Okay. What are we talking about? A monkey's going to do it? All right. What other theories piss me off? The monkey theory pissed me off. One thing, and I'm still kind of wrapping my brain around how do I feel about this criticism, but the criticism of it's too slow. Season 3 of White Lotus is too slow. Again, part of me wants to yell at those who feel that way and say, what show have you been watching? White Lotus is not a show where like things happen. I like what happens in season 1. Tanya needs to Tanya's trying to spread her mom's ashes in the ocean. She starts a weirdly inappropriate relationship with the spa manager at the resort, and she meets a man and decides to marry him. That's what happens to Tanya. The Mossbachers. Mark finds out that his dad died of AIDS. Tells his son that he cheated on Nicole. Nicole finds that out. It's very upsetting. Their room is broken into by Kai at the encouragement of Paula, who's their daughter's friend that they brought along the trip. And she did that to like symbolically get back at the Mossbachers. And then Olivia confronts Paula about it, and then ultimately they're forgiven, and and Quinn wants to go to Fiji, and he does, and good for him. That's what happens to them. Shane and Rachel. Rachel realizes that she has married an asshole and is now trying to figure out how to get out of it. That's what happens. Shane doesn't get the room that he wanted, and the resort manager keeps lying to him, and it escalates to the point where Shane accidentally stabs him. That's what happens in season 1. So like things happen, like there is a plot, like there is a story, and I don't want to discount that because it's excellent writing, but that's not like what the show is. Just people talking. The show is just usually two people having a conversation, and like if that's not your thing, like I think, sorry, I'm trying to gather my thoughts. Like that's what the show is. The show is people having conversations. It isn't like, I'm trying to think of a very like plot heavy show. Like Mr. Robot. Mr. Robot is an incredibly plot heavy show. Like things are happening in that show constantly. And the story is moving, like it's clear, or like dark on Netflix. Plot heavy show. Not to say that those shows also don't have excellent characterizations and thematic work and stuff, but like those are plot heavy shows. That's not what the White Lotus is. Even something like Game of Thrones, I think people forget this about Game of Thrones. 90%, if not more, of Game of Thrones is literally just like two people talking, just two people having a conversation. That's what and like every season of Game of Thrones, it was like, I can't wait for episode 9 when the thing happens, whatever the thing is going to be this season, whatever episode 9 is this season. Cause otherwise it's just like people chatting, like 90% of the time. So it's just crazy to me to see people complain about it being slow. And it also makes me think that like binge viewing has sort of ruined people's ability to watch television in like a coherent or smart way. And because I feel like a lot of those complaints came from people who did not watch seasons 1 or 2 as they aired, but heard how popular they were and then got caught up before the season, which is cool. Like I want the show to be successful, obviously. If there's one thing you need to know about me, it's that I'm a fan of the White Lotus. And but when you like, so I watched season 1 in 2 days. I binged season 1. I watched the first 3 episodes one night, and then I watched the next 3 episodes the next night. And I loved it. My experience with season 1 would be very, very different if I had 6 weeks with it, as opposed to season 2, which I did watch week to week. And I did watch season 2 week to week, and season 2, as I watched it, as it aired, I was like, this is a slow show. Like this is not like, we are taking our time, and like, yeah, nothing's happening, but I like the characters. I like the dialogue. I like the setting. Like I like everything that's happening, but not much of it is happening. And honestly, until like the final episode of season 2, until the finale of season 2, after 7 weeks, that's when everything finally clicked for me of the whole season, and I was like, oh, okay, like that's what we've been doing. Like the Daphne scene, the Daphne and Ethan scene on the beach, like that kind of like unlocked the season for me, and I was like, oh, okay, that's what's going on. Got it. Cool. Great. And yeah, and so if you have binged season 1 and 2, if you watch like both those seasons in less than a week, watching this season, which is objectively, in my opinion, the slowest paced out of the 3, once again by virtue of just having 8 episodes. So then if you're going to go to season 3 and have to spend 8 weeks only getting an eighth of the story once a week, yeah, you're going to think it's slow and therefore think it's bad. There's also a weird conflation of like slow paced with bad. And that's something I disagree with. How that being said, I also don't want to be a hypocrite, because like there are shows that I intentionally don't watch week to week because I would rather binge them and be able to watch it in a short period of time. For example, Severance. I watched Severance season 1 within a month or two, I think, of season 1 coming out. I watched it all because I saw that it had excellent reviews and people were really liking it, and so I checked it out and I watched it very quickly, and I was like, that was stellar, loved it. However, yeah, if I had to watch that week to week, it would be agonizing. And so with season 2, I'm like, I'm just gonna wait for it all to be over, and then I'm gonna watch. And I watched all of season two of Severance in a week a few weeks ago, and it was incredible. Also, side note, season 2 of Severance was unbelievably good, and I'm so happy that I binged it. And yeah, so it's just about like kind of recognizing, like, I guess what type of viewer you are and like what you enjoy. And yeah, all that to say, I think Netflix has broken our brains. I think it has made us less competent TV viewers. And with like, this isn't like Law and Order. Like, this isn't like every episode is like its own like little 50-minute movie, you know? It's like not like a self-contained story. Like, these really are just like 8 chapters in a book. And that's how you need to view it. So until like episode 6 or 7, I don't even really let myself start thinking of like, what do I think about this season? Because it's like, well, I don't have all the pieces yet to like really make a coherent argument, or coherent, not argument, but coherent thought. I lost a lot of viewers during that rant, a lot being 6. Okay. I fear I'm also the White Lotus friend, except no one I know besides my mom, love you mom, watches White Lotus. So I'm just always trying to get my friends to watch White Lotus. Yeah, you know, not a lot, but a good amount of my friends haven't been able to get into season 1, which baffles me. But ultimately I say, like, you know, it's possible that like it's not for you, it's not your thing. And like that breaks my heart, but as I said earlier, I'm a Leftovers fan, and there is no show on planet Earth that is harder to get someone to watch than The Leftovers, because season 1 makes it let's just say season 1 doesn't give the viewer, especially the first 2 episodes, first 5, first 8 maybe, like I think episode 3, 6 and 9 of season 1 of The Leftovers are great. Like, those are great hooks. But I mean, honestly, if you get to episode 9 of season 1 of The Leftovers and you're still not hooked, then you might just not like the show. However, it is like literally the best TV show ever made. But it's impossible to get people to watch because it's just like it's like kind of agonizing to watch. Okay. Season 2 was amazing. Yeah, I just finished I don't know what rewatch I'm on, but I just finished that because as I work on a video, I just kind of keep watching the thing. And I just did it, and I was like, wow, season 2, very good. I will say that the visuals of season 3 are so like the cinematography. The cinematography of season 3 is so much stronger than season 2. It's pretty baffling. Like season 3 is really, really gorgeous, and going back to watch season 2 while I'm in the middle of watching season 3, it's like it's kind of like night and day. Like it really is just an astounding difference. And you know, I'm glad that they clearly took their time to make season 3. It took 2.5 years between seasons. And I think it really shows, in my opinion. I think that it's too slow criticism is literally just because there wasn't sex and affairs left and right like season 2. Yeah, like you don't have Lucia and Mia like running around causing mischief and like drugging the piano guy, and Lucia sleeping with like the father and the son and Theo James. Like yeah, yeah, there's less like little chaotic energy like that. And yeah, I mean, I guess sex sells, but it's like, I don't know. I feel like everyone's brain is just like atrophying. My one criticism that I think contributed with the slow feel of thing. This is from Marooned Space Princess. I hope you come back down to earth. My one criticism that I think contributed with the slow feel of things was that we spent way too much time with Tim on Lorazepam and contemplating what he was going to do. Some of that time could have been used to develop Fabian, Mook, or Piper more. I think Piper was developed. I think Piper was fully developed. I'm curious what more you would like to have seen from Piper. And again, Mook and Fabian are not main characters. They are not like Guy Talk is the resort employee, and Fabian and Mook is just there to serve Guy Talk's story, and Fabian is just like the resort manager of the season. Just wasn't a character. I mean, he was a character, but he wasn't Armand, and he wasn't Valentina. And it's interesting that like an objectively like somewhat small change like that, like, oh, the resort employee that we follow this season isn't going to be the manager. It's going to be this like kind of low level security guard. Kind of broke people's brain. I'm not saying this happened to you. This is what marooned you in space. It kind of like broke people's brains because they're like, this character is a flop. He's boring. He doesn't do anything. And it's like, he's just comedic. Guys, it's comedic relief. Fabian is largely just there to be comedic relief. Even in the shooting, him like falling back into the pool was hysterical. Okay. And I think we should also be grateful that that actor is not getting like typecast after Zone of Interest into being a Nazi. So I think we should, I think we should just be grateful to that. And Mook is just there to serve Guy. You can not like that. But like, that's ultimately the purpose of Mook, and having Lisa play her is a bit of like a red herring for like how important she's actually going to be to the story. Megan, is that my Megan? I love you. Well, of course it is. The spelling. Binge viewing has ruined everything. You're right, and you should say it. Thank you, Queen. Always there. Okay. Yeah, Nat says, yeah, this is the first season I watched as it aired, and my family and I literally discussed it for hours after every episode. It was so fun, like theorizing and etc. Let's all give it up for Nat and their family. Okay. That is the magic and that is the beauty of serialized television. Like every week you and a loved one or loved ones gather around to experience a new piece of this story, and then you discuss it all together. And I think that is absolutely gorgeous. And I'm so happy you had that experience. TV is something that my I don't know how to word it. Like my family did together. Yeah, I'm like, my family was different. We watched TV together. No, but like I have memories of like all four of us watching American Idol together, watching Survivor together, watching The West Wing together, watching Gilmore Girls together, watching The Office together, like Modern Family. Like I have I have these memories of being a kid or like a preteen, and like me and my sister and my parents watching TV and then talking about it after. And I think that is like a beautiful like I think that's great. I think that's a great thing to have in society, like a shared interest in a story and a narrative and like discussing it. So I also don't want to like discourage people from engaging in discourse around a show, but I do want to encourage people to like be smarter about it and like not recommend that monkeys are going to massacre monkeys are responsible. Like, what show are we watching, people? What show are we watching? But I think that's lovely. Also, I think this was an interesting set of characters. I think this season will be appraised well in hindsight by fans, especially now that we have all the episodes. And I think I'm very excited to rewatch this season. One, knowing how it ends, and two, yeah, I'm excited to be able to watch it all in like a more condensed way, and just pick up on all these like little pieces that Mike White drops. Let's see. Okay. How do I like permanently block someone? You're making this not fun. You're making it not fun. I'm sorry, everyone. Thank you, Soft Alchemy. Get out of here, bro. Indeed, I do need a moderator. If I continue to do this, but I don't know how this has been going. Okay. The Ralphs were my favorite. The way Piper caved the second Lachlan had interest in her escape was honestly the most horror I felt all season. That's very interesting, Soft Alchemy. That is very interesting. I actually hadn't. Wow. Yeah, no, I think you're right. Yeah, that her realizing that she's not actually special for wanting that, and Lachlan being like, "Yeah, I'll do this too. Like, I want to do this." Turning her off to it is very interesting. I don't know. Can you expand on that a bit more? That's so interesting. If you're still here, that's so interesting. Okay, Dan's here. I'm going to make you a moderator. Okay. I'm also going to make Megan a moderator. Sorry, I'm giving you this responsibility. Okay. Everyone say hi to Megan and Dan. My White Lotus video would not exist without them. Nor would my Sharp Objects video. I would not be the man I am today without these two. Okay. Kind of random, but something that Leo DiCaprio that I Leo DiCaprio pointed at the screen for is when Chelsea said good things happen to good people. Yeah. As a callback to season 1. I haven't cooked on a thesis of what the meaning of that was, but I jumped 10 feet in the air at it. Yeah, Megan with the wrench next to her name. Yeah, guys, Megan has a hard fist, okay? And she's gonna whip you. She's gonna whip the chat into shape. Yes, I totally clocked that too. Good things happen to good people. I've been thinking in light of actually both working on my next video and watching season 3. I've been thinking about Nicole from season 1 more. I've been thinking about Nicole from season 1 more, and her like her worldview and ideology, and yeah, her saying good things happen to good people is, I mean, I say this in the video, like that is her worldview, like a meritocracy. Like I was promoted to CFO of Google because I was the best possible choice. for that job, and had nothing to do, like, there no external factors, and good things happen to good people is an ideology and a mindset that falls apart after what, a nanosecond of poking and prodding. Like, it's just kind of objectively untrue. And it, but the way it's used by Nicole is it's a defense mechanism, and it contrasts interestingly with what Victoria says in this finale, where she says, like, we should enjoy our life. We should enjoy our life and all the privileges we have and all this wealth and all this excess. Like, we should enjoy it and not let it go to waste, because otherwise that's offensive to the billions of people who can only dream of having this life. And there's also, like, a weird meta aspect of, like, these are, like, wealthy actors who are, like, doing better than, I mean, not all of them, but, like, you know, Jason Isaacs, Parker Posey, like, I'm sure they are doing better than the average person. But the average person is watching White Lotus. So, like, there's like a few layers of meaning going on here. Yeah. And that's an interesting contrast with Nicole's good things happen to good people, of kind of, like, Victoria being like, well, it happened, so we might as well do our best with it. And yeah, I don't know, but I did pick up on the good things happen to good people. In that specific moment, it did seem like Zion was just trying to reassure Belinda that, like, it's okay to be happy that we got this money. But yeah, I did notice that. I think it was because she turned out to be like her mother and having her values when it was what she feared most. Yeah. Yeah. So true. Nothing to add. Yeah, no, 100%. And I'm going to quote Nocturnal Animals again, which is a movie you should all go watch. We all eventually turn into our mothers. And I think there is, I mean, you see it in season 1 too, with after Paula and Olivia's confrontation in the final episode, Olivia going into her parents' bedroom and just breaking down crying and, like, falling into Nicole's arms. And it's an immediate switch. Like, they have had, like, this antagonistic, like, fairly classic, like, 19-year-old girl being like, oh my God, mom, like, that relationship for the whole season. And then immediately she breaks down crying, and Nicole like, for just implicitly forgives her and is like, you are my daughter and you are in pain and I love you and I am here to support you and take care of you. And so it's like, no matter how much we don't want to be our parents, we kind of literally are, like, and that is horror. And that is really, really scary. Depending on who your parents are. I love my parents. But that is scary to realize that, like, like, these people I know intimately, and these people whose, like, problems I also know intimately. Like, Piper knows what's wrong with her mom. Like, she sees how fucked up Victoria is, but then realizing that, like, oh, and half of me is her, is really scary, is very, very scary. And yeah, just wanting to be someone else. It's fascinating. So yeah, thank you for bringing that up. That's so interesting. Also, when Rick was being ignored by the therapist, I really felt his desperation. She could have changed the whole thing. Ugh. Also, if I was Zion could hear what was if I was in Zion's shoes, I'd be like, oh, I didn't actually even really want to do this. So, yeah, he can have it. Or I'd be like, oh, does he just want like 10 minutes with you? Like, that's fine. Like, whatever. But it's a story. It's fine. But yeah, no, Rick's desperation there was great. Let's all give it up for Walton Goggins also. I think Victoria recognizes on some level that it's unjust and unfair, whereas Nicole has guilt around it and has to justify that she got it fairly. And yeah, because also like I assume Victoria doesn't work. I assume Victoria doesn't work, and at that level of wealth, and not and just having gotten married to enjoy the wealth or whatever, or to be that successful financially. Yeah, you do have to you have to adjust your worldview and your mindset to an extent to kind of live with yourself. That sounds very dramatic, but like you do have to make some internal like moral concessions with yourself to tolerate it. And I think a lot of people and I think Victoria and Nicole go about it in like slightly different ways, where Nicole's like, yeah, this is like, it's kind of fucked up that like we have so much and so many have nothing. So given that circumstance, we should enjoy it. Because Victoria also isn't like in a position to Victoria isn't in a position of power necessarily. Whereas Nicole is in a significant position of power. Not only because of like her wealth, but like her job. And could not like Nicole, no single person can change the world, but Nicole is in a much better position than Victoria is to like actually enact some sort of change, even within just her own company, whatever that may be. Such as like, I don't know, limiting executive salaries to a number, or like making sure the ratio between your top paid employee and your least paid employee doesn't exceed, some sort of ratio, things like that, but that's not the world that we operate in, and that's not how companies operate. And that's unfortunate. And like I said in my video, Nicole seems ultimately like disinterested in questioning this system whatsoever. Yeah. Okay. It's 9:40. I plan to only do this for an hour, but I was having fun. And yeah, so thank you all for being here. And I usually go to bed at 8:30. So we're a little past my bedtime, but this was fun. I was very nervous going into this. Because I am, like I said earlier, I don't feel like I'm a great off the cuff speaker. I'm not the most eloquent or coherent person, when just talking. And the finale also literally just aired. So I'm like, the finale literally just aired. So my brain is, still catching up, and I'm sure there's a lot that I was going to talk about that I didn't. Let me see. Da, 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 da. Yeah, I mean, okay. So Scott Glenn was actually Rick's dad. Empire Strikes Back. I need time to sit with that. I currently don't have any thoughts other than I was shocked. I was like, oh shit, that's his dad. Even though it felt weirdly obvious when it happened, I was like, oh, of course. But like, I don't know. So I don't know, that happened. I said buildup of tension was exquisite. So true. Guy Talk becomes the hero or villain he wanted to be for Mook. That's also interesting. Guy Talk struggling with his like all the characters, his identity, and struggling with wanting Mook, but also not wanting to be the man that Mook wants him to be, but ultimately kind of foregoing his Buddhist values in favor of being the man that Mook wants him to be. And that is sad. I don't know. Guy Talk's story I found just sad by the end. I was like, oh, like him, and he gets the promotion and he gets Mook, we assume, but you know, is that what he wants? Is that what's best for him? Is that going to bring him joy in life? I don't think so, you know. Did you discuss the three friends already? I did. I did at the at some point in the past hour and a half. I talked about the three friends. Yeah, I talked about Lori's time gives life meaning. The three of us are together. Even when we're apart, we're together. And I started tearing up talking about it. I cried during the scene as it aired. I don't know exactly why, but I found it incredibly touching. Victoria ended up being fine without the lorazepam. Honestly, she was sharper and seemed better. Yeah, it's almost like she didn't need it. It's almost like she's abusing the drug. It's almost like Victoria's a drug addict. I don't know. It's almost like that. But yeah, but okay. Thank you all for joining and for chatting. I was so worried I was going to sit here and the chat was going to be so empty and I was just going to sit here and smile and say, you know, well, Belinda got her money. How do we feel about that? And then no one respond. But, you know, luckily that didn't happen. So thank you all for being here. And lastly, just to reward those of you all 38 of you who stayed till the end. A hot take just dropped in the chat. I'm going to be for real. I'm extremely disappointed by this finale. I felt like it was predictable. Your plastic, your prediction abilities are much better than mine because I didn't see I didn't really see any of this coming except Rick dying. Rick dying did feel enough. It was either going to be Rick or Tim for me in my ultimately. I was very worried it was going to be Belinda. But ultimately it was going to be Rick or Tim. Chelsea being collateral was very surprising to me. But otherwise I was surprised. I would also argue that the season 2 finale is also not surprising. I think the season 2 finale is very predictable. By the time you get to that episode, it's like, okay, well, Tanya's probably going to die on this boat, you know? But I respect your opinion. But I'm sorry that you were disappointed by the finale. That's always disappointing. I like that you know their names. Liam, when the White Lotus kind of becomes your job. No, yeah, yes, I've watched every episode of this season twice, except for the episode 7 and 8. I've only seen once, but 1 through 6 I watched twice. So I've spent a good amount of time. And also on my Patreon, patreon.com/thewatercooler, join for $1 a month. I've done recaps after the first 6 episodes. I've done recaps and just kind of my first thoughts on them, and that also just gave me a lot of time to like learn who they are. But if you go watch those on patreon.com/thewatercooler, if you go watch them, I frequently have to look up characters' names. It's only now after 2 months that I finally know who's who. People just kept hyping up Victoria's lorazepam come down or whatever, and I was kind of glad that didn't happen. Yeah, I didn't know people were hyping up. I didn't know people were hyping up Victoria's cold turkey from lorazepam, but I did look up side effects of coming off of it, and it did look gnarly. But yeah, I will say, I forget who left this comment. Was it Marooned? Yeah, Maroon Space Princess earlier, about spent way too much time with Tim. I think I disagree with that, because by the time Tim is serving those deadly pina coladas, by the time he's serving those deadly pina coladas to his family, that is like an insane, that like the show has never even like approached anything really like that. Like, that is so dark and so fucked up that it can be hard to get an audience to go with something like that. And I think we did need to spend that. I do think we didn't need to spend that much time with Tim, like contemplating his own suicide, contemplating killing his family, like stringing himself out with the lorazepam. Like, I think we did need to spend that much time so that that moment felt like real, and earned in a way. And also, like, I call me gullible. I'm a gullible viewer, for the record. A story presents me with something and I'm like, oh, okay. And then, 50 pages later, it's like, just kidding. Actually, it's this. And I'm like, whoa, even if it's very obvious, I let myself be gullible because it's much more fun that way. But, I think we need to spend that time with Tim so that him about to kill his family, except for Lachlan, feels real and feels realistic. That's what I think. I thought Valentine and them were going to come back. Yeah, I mean, ultimately a bit of a red herring in terms of like them being involved in like the shooting, but I thought the Russian goons, one being a red herring, but also two just being in service of the lady's story, was all good. I liked it. My dad got so mad every time Tim would swallow the pills without water. Me too. Carrie Coon's monologue might have just become my favorite moment from this show. That's high praise, Noah. That is high praise. I'll have to sit with it. I'll have to sit with it. Katie. Yeah, I don't think it's about the plot twist. It's not a murder mystery, but that's just my opinion as someone who has not gone to film school. Film school is largely a bit of a scam. So don't worry about it. I'm not particularly better at this because I went to film school. There are certain things that I am better than the average person at because of that, but story analysis, honestly, my analytical story skills, most of that came from my high school education, if I was going to be completely honest. Film school just helped me with the technical aspects of literal filmmaking and what being on set is actually like, and what it's like to literally make something. It's very difficult. It's like the hardest thing anyone will ever do. The fact that any movie or TV show is anywhere near good is like a miracle. That's my take on film school. Anyways, okay. Yeah, but to go back to your earlier point, Katie, it's not about the plot twist. It's not a murder mystery. Yeah, the show isn't. A friend who hasn't seen the show texted me a few days ago and was like, "Wait, is every season of The White Lotus a murder mystery?" And I'm like, I don't think any of them are murder mysteries, because that makes it sound like an Agatha Christie novel. I think every season has the same structure and same like framing device, but it doesn't have like, it's not a murder mystery because like the characters aren't trying to figure it out. We just know that someone's going to die. And also season 1 opening with that scene with Shane, that feels like, I don't know. This is conjecture. I don't know if this is true or not. That feels like Mike White wrote the script and that, hold on. If you guys can hold out 1 second, I have I don't know what draft, but I have a draft of the pilot episode of season 1 of The White Lotus. So let me try to see if I can get it. Yes. Okay. That was quick. Wow. It was originally just called the Lotus Resort and Spa. So this is a draft from September 3rd, 2020. Okay, never mind. Yeah, it does. Okay, at least the September 2020 draft, which would have been around when they were filming season 1, does have Shane in the airport. I was gonna say it initially feels like kind of a network note of they're like, hey, can we have like a bit of a stronger hook? And it's very possible that this new scene with Shane, or this opening scene with Shane at the airport, was an HBO note of they're like, oh, can we have like a bit of a hook or something? And then it just kind of caught on as like the structure of the show. But yeah, it's a fun and flirty framing device. And I mean, there are, like I said earlier, each season is the exact same and completely different. Each season opens with us learning that someone is dead. We learn someone is dead. Then we go to the VIPs arriving by boat to the resort. And the first episode ends with like a kind of slow pan out through the window of a couple in a room. Those are the things that remain consistent. And then we find out who dies at the end. And then we see the body get loaded into the plane, and et cetera, et cetera. What even brought that on? Why did I start talking about that? Katie, literally my meds have brutal withdrawal symptoms, and I was so worried about this wealthy white woman that I love to hate. Yeah, I mean, it's possible she just tried to lessen the withdrawal symptoms with alcohol. I don't know. This is not medical advice. But yeah, I've been on medication before that had, God, what's it called? I've been on a med a few years ago. I was on something called Prestique, I believe. It's an SNRI, and the withdrawal symptoms from that are brutal, like brutal. I hated it so much. So yeah. Nat, the payoff with Tim was so insane that even though it was a lot of time in his head, it really allowed for that insane terror I felt when they were holding the drinks. I agree. Katie, agree. I think it's also the authentic to how suicidal ideations play out in reality. Yep. Soft alchemy. My favorite moment is when Victoria lists everyone who's written a book. Yes. The season 1 opening with Shane felt the most like a murder mystery to me, purely because I saw the actor who plays him in a true crime retelling series, but that's just my brain rot. Is that the like Fallen Apple show or something? I don't know. Rotten Out? I don't know. I remember seeing a billboard for it. I didn't watch it. Was it on Peacock? I don't know. Anyways. Okay. I'm going to end it here. So Illy All, patreon.com/thewatercooler. join for $1 a month, and this was so fun. My White Lotus video just passed 150,000 views, which is so insane. And this was like kind of a 10,000 subscriber celebration stream, and this was very fun. I was very nervous, as I said, but this was I had a blast. I hope you did. I hope you had some sort of fun too. And to thank you for sticking with it all the way to the end. My next video will be out this summer. I have a date in my head. That is my goal. But I am keeping that between me and like 5 people. So all I'm willing to say publicly is that the next video, which will be on season 2 of The White Lotus, will come out this summer, and I'm very excited for you to see it. And yeah, I'm just happy to be here. It's like so cool that I can do this and people watch. It's very cool. So thank you. Thank you, Dan, for Dan. Literally my day one. Dan dropping the link. Yeah. So if you want to see me more frequently, because these videos, my YouTube videos take a very long time to make. If you want to see me more frequently, and you want to see like more casual content, then you can go to my Patreon, and join for $1 a month. I don't know how many, I have 400 and something $1 spots still open. I made 500 spots open for $1 a month, where you get access to everything, and your name will be in the credits of all future videos for as long as you're a patron. So yeah, but thank you. This was so fun. And I hope, I don't know. How do you end this?